Hey, stoic soul, you don't just drift through life. You're jagged, raw, on a search for something deeper while the world shouts at you to numb out. You feel things louder, think clearer, ache heavier. That's what makes you a chosen one, isn't it? But lately, intensity has become your entire atmosphere. The weight is invisible, but always there. You wonder, is this awakening, or are you just unraveling? You stare at the ceiling at midnight, senses on high alert, and somewhere inside, the world you woke you up in this morning is not the same as the one you'll close your eyes in tonight. If this already hits home, you're right where you belong. Breathe in. Let your old self exhale. Now let's walk through the 9 painfully honest, quietly powerful side effects of spiritual awakening, Stoic style. The first sign is so subtle that only the vigilant notice. Silence stops being empty. You start to hear echoes of old regrets, of future hopes, of ideas that don't seem to be your own. Your mind is louder than the city outside, but the noise no longer distracts. It reveals. What once was absence now feels like honest confrontation. And in those echoes, you meet yourself. Picture it. You enter your living room, triumphant with a mug of lukewarm herbal tea, fully prepared to do nothing but scroll aimlessly. And then, pause. You hear it, not the distant plumbing or that suspicious thump your neighbour's poodle always provides. No, it's a weird vibration from the past, quietly replaying the time you called your 3rd grade teacher Mom. The echo rings out across the freshly vacuumed carpet. This is not a haunting. This is an existential open mic night, and the featured act is your own mind, starring as itself. This type of silence isn't empty. It's a freewheeling focus group for your thoughts, and every version of you, awkward, bold, hopeful, or neurotically over-caffeinated, shows up to participate. Past regrets wave their hands. Remember that text you never sent? Epic. Future hopes tap dance in the background, leaving hopeful shoe scuffs on the linoleum of your imagination. Ideas float in, wearing costumes you don't recall sewing, sounding almost, but not quite, like they belong to you. It's the kind of internal town hall meeting that philosophers spent entire lifetimes annotating on papyrus, and presumably also avoided with strong wine. In these moments, you notice how each echo has a peculiar texture. Some are the soft, forgiving kind, brushing past you like a ghost who can't quite remember your Wi-Fi password. Others are sharper, methodically poking your ribs to remind you that you're still carrying that embarrassing meeting from yesterday in your emotional carry-on luggage. And then there are the philosophical echoes, the ones that ask why you left that onion in the fridge for 3 weeks, and also, more importantly, why you do pretty much anything at all. You start to sense that these echoes aren't enemies. They're invitations. Each reverberation in this acoustic solitude grants you a front-row ticket to your own psyche. Here lies the difference between being alone and being, well, really alone. The external world finally agrees to quiet down, only for your internal world to throw a surprise party in your honor. And everyone in your head is on the guest list. Most people busy themselves relentlessly to avoid these gatherings. They fill the silence with podcasts, with true crime narratives that conveniently distract them from their own unsolved mysteries. But the Stoics, oh, they would have loved this. Marcus Aurelius would have reclined on your second-hand sofa and grinned, pen ready. He'd whisper, "Welcome to the attic of your thoughts. No one leaves unchanged, but everyone leaves with better footnotes." If you find yourself startled by the clamour of your own mind, congratulations. You're present for the world's most private symphony. Call it the overture to radical honesty. Even as the world around you hums with distractions, notifications, to-do lists, the gentle existential dread of unopened emails, you find yourself tuning in to these echoes instead. You realize silence is not a void, but an amplifier for truth. The more you listen, the clearer your inner self becomes. Part ancient philosopher, part overly dramatic life coach, part stand-up comedian, in charge of commentary. You, at last, become both audience and performer, in the most meaningful show your consciousness can produce. So sit with the echoes. They're not leaving, but maybe, just maybe, that's how you finally come home. You lie in the dark, wide awake, not out of anxiety, but anticipation. Your brain doesn't shut off. It rehearses what matters and lets go of what doesn't. You crave rest, but your inner life is too electric to surrender. Dreams become strategy sessions. Fatigue, oddly, feels less like weakness and more like evidence that your spirit is finally working. It's like your bed is the green room before you walk back on stage. But the audience is a committee of sock puppets auditioning to become tomorrow's thoughts. You're not hiding from life. You're prepping, like a stoic general with pajamas instead of armor, gathering your forces somewhere between the covers and the comforter. Imagine, every time you close your eyes, Musonius Rufus is personally fluffing your pillows, but instead of wishing you sweet dreams, he grumbles, "Don't let the virtuous obligations bite. Sleep is not escape. Sleep is halftime." Your mind drifts through the day's reel, highlighting only the director's cuts. The awkward handshake you now decide must be classified as a learning experience. The witty comeback you invented 6 hours too late. The to-do list items that were bravely postponed in favor of existential mulling. You're not dismissing life's chaos, just pausing to run it through your own private editing suite. Falling asleep, you realize, isn't ducking out of the game. It's just a bathroom break during a movie marathon. You'll be back. The popcorn's still warm. Even as your muscles slacken into the mattress, your thoughts host spirited debates about what matters most. Epictetus leans one way, pointing at virtue and discipline, while Seneca's ghost quietly wonders if it's truly necessary to answer emails before sunrise. It's a symposium with sleep masks, philosophers in pajamas, arguing whether counting sheep actually builds character, or if it's just more mindless labor. Of course, the sheep unionize and demand more grass breaks. Fatigue has a flavor. It's not defeat. It's proof you actually cared. Every yawn feels earned, a sign you wrestled the day down and emerged, if not victorious, at least impressively rumpled. Your mind tiptoes through the possibility that exhaustion doesn't mean you're worn out, but that you're being seasoned. Like a well-used coffee mug, each crack is evidence of practical philosophy, not fragility. You are living proof that sleep isn't an off switch, it's the interval. And just as you think you might drift off, your brain launches a last-minute pitch meeting. Remember that embarrassing middle school moment. Time to ruminate and reframe. The point isn't to banish these memories, but to let them audition for tomorrow's performance in a kinder, wittier script. This is rehearsal, not retreat. As the lights dim behind your eyes, the stoics in your cerebral amphitheater beg you to remember. Intermissions are necessary. The show will go on. The hero, that's you, always returns when the curtain rises, hopefully having learned which lines to deliver and which, blessedly, to leave on the cutting room floor. Suddenly, some names in your phone feel impossibly distant. Conversations that once entertained you now exhaust you. You're not cold, you're just outgrowing distractions. The law here is harsh, but liberating. When you choose depth, the shallow surface rejects you. Fewer attachments, more substance. You realize alone does not mean empty. Think of your relationships like a solar system. In our early years, our universe is dense with rogue planets, glittering comets, and at least 5 weird little asteroids you only hang on to because they bring snacks or have a pool. But as we move through the galaxy of adulthood, gravity does its work. Not every planet keeps orbit. The cosmic truth: the tighter your orbit around what matters, the more space junk you let drift out into the black. And yet, who among us hasn't scrolled through old group chats, relics of a lost civilization, and felt a twinge of nostalgia? You see that friend who once dared you to moonwalk at the wedding. You did not stick the landing. And that person who sent memes at 2 a.m., as if the fate of the universe depended on whether you saw dog in a tiny hat. Now, radio silence. It's not betrayal, just the natural entropy of the social cosmos. Modern Stoicism suggests this is not a problem, but a purification. Seneca would double-tap your existential memes and comment, "Quality over quantity, fam." When you outgrow certain connections, it isn't an icy snub. It's the slow rotation toward what nurtures your spirit, like a sunflower ignoring the weeds and craning for the sun. Let's acknowledge the heartbreak in this orbit adjustment. It stings. Old friends become strangers with whom you only share a handful of inside jokes and a Wi-Fi password from 2014. Maybe you still like their vacation photos. After all, we're all decent celestial bodies here. But the gravity has shifted, and that's okay. There's almost a cosmic courtesy in letting one another float off to new constellations. Even the background noise of former friendships had its place, like the comforting static of a faraway radio station. When that sound fades, silence rushes in, and sometimes it feels emptier than it is. Listen closer. Beneath that hush is the gentle hum of your own alignment, your own true frequency. Now you have space for the deep conversations, the friends who don't mind your existential dread and your questionable taste in houseplants. Stoicism tells you to keep your circle intentional. Fewer, richer orbits. Let go of the guilt. You're not meant to drag every childhood acquaintance or office lunch buddy to your next life stage. You don't need to explain the drift. The universe doesn't send "it's not you, it's gravity" cards. Remember, solitude can be a rich, echoing cathedral rather than a cold vacuum. Friends who stay grow sturdier roots. Those who drift away become stardust you once held in your orbit, beautiful for a season and then freed to become someone else's comet. If you ever feel lonely, look up. The sky is full of stars, some closer than you think. And every now and then, one returns, slingshot by gravity, just to remind you. True connections can withstand a little space. Before, you said yes to everything. Now, no rolls off your tongue with the ease of breath. You choose time and attention like sacred resources. You don't offer explanations, just a silent certainty. The world pushes back, confused. Don't worry. That's proof you're transforming. Suddenly, people who once relied on your infinite flexibility find themselves perplexed. You, the person who would sign up for the office chili cook-off, cat sit for Aunt Muriel, and say yes to spontaneous midnight karaoke, now have a subtle force field around your calendar and your soul. Someone asks if you're free Saturday, and you experience a miraculous phenomenon. Your lips form an N before you even internally debate it. Is this what self-mastery feels like? Or did you accidentally join a secret society of extremely chill wizards? No, you've simply learned that boundary setting is a radical act of kindness, mainly to yourself, but, let's face it, also to the world, which is one less frazzled, resentful person away from chaos. You've retired from the people-pleasing Olympics, realizing that the gold medal was just a shiny sticker and a lifetime supply of exhaustion. Your phone buzzes with invitations and requests. Your response is the digital equivalent of a philosophical shrug. Unmoved. Beneath the veneer of politeness, there's an unflappable core. No, thank you. No elaborate backstory required. Somehow you are now more mysterious, like that cat who sits on your windowsill at dusk. Present, intriguing, and totally unbothered by the demands of passing strangers. Stoicism teaches this elegant defiance. You are not required to justify your boundaries to anyone. Marcus Aurelius didn't pause mid-meditation to reply to every Roman party invitation. Seneca wasn't stress-baking olive bread for acquaintances who just needed a little favor. The masters knew your time is a finite, sacred currency, and not everyone deserves a withdrawal. There's an art to this transformation, a kind of boundary ballet. At first, people grumble. Friends test your resolve with the classic, but you always... They may even resort to weaponized nostalgia. You used to be so much fun, but your serenity remains. You know authenticity trumps nostalgia every time. You also learn to distinguish between real emergencies and the ill-timed requests of people who've mistaken your kindness for an all-access pass. Occasionally guilt will sneak in, disguised as a polite knock at your mental door. You greet it with the wisdom of a Stoic philosopher wearing pajamas. Sorry, guilt. Not tonight. Try Plato's house across the street. Your boundaries are now like a fortress, with velvet ropes. Cozy, but impenetrable. With every assertive no, your self-respect compounds interest. You realize that boundaries aren't barriers, they're invitations to real connection, honest respect, and the delight of chosen commitments. Free from the tyranny of constant acquiescence, you make room for what truly matters. You reply to requests with gentle clarity, or sometimes with blessed silence, the non-response that says everything. Those who value and respect you will lean in, drawn by your newfound centeredness. And those who don't, you wish them well as they wander off in search of more compliant company. Your boundaries, at last, are not up for debate, non-negotiable, like a cat's priorities or a stoic's calm, unmoved, unruffled, unbreakable. And in that space, you discover the peace that was waiting for you, right where you drew the line. The veil lifts, motives become transparent. You see patterns in people's words, hear the subtext in small talk, sense the agenda behind every compliment and complaint. It's not paranoia, it's discernment, and it comes with a strange clarity. Most chaos is predictable and not your responsibility to fix. Now, as you lounge on the sofa, scrolling through your phone, basking in this hyper-aware superpower, you begin to see each emoji in your group chat as a piece of ancient Stoic oracle's code. Suddenly, Stacy's innocent lol doesn't mean laugh out loud. It means I wish to avoid confessing my annoyance at your last message, but must fulfill social obligations to seem likable. You smile knowingly. You don't have to solve Stacy. Stacy has to solve Stacy. Remember the unspoken rule in the grocery checkout line. Eye contact is forbidden unless you're a toddler or on a heroic quest for self-checkout redemption. Someone sighs theatrically behind you because you have 3 bottles of oat milk and a coupon for each. In your hyper-awareness, you sense the tension, but you also sense, and here's where the Stoics come in, this tension is as transitory as the shelf life of oat milk itself. Hyper-awareness doesn't mean you're doomed to see everyone as manipulative Bond villains with elaborate schemes, twirling invisible mustaches as they recommend books, or say you look well rested. Sometimes a compliment is just a compliment, sent from the universe to momentarily prop up your sleep-deprived soul, or maybe distract you so you don't notice the spinach in your teeth. What matters is that you understand the distinction and refuse to let every veiled comment become a call to arms, as if the fate of Western civilization depends on you decoding Todd's sandwich order subtext. You begin to observe the micro games all around you. The who will hold the door the longest standoff, the marital negotiations over thermostat settings, the competitive I'm busier than you Olympics at the workplace. Hyper-awareness brings perspective. You see through the performance, the subtle flexing. Instead of getting hooked into the drama, you sit back as if binge-watching a reality TV show called The Human Condition Petty Edition. This is Stoic detachment, upgraded with a keen sense of humor. You don't need to control other people's motives, and frankly, you couldn't if you tried. The universe writes a plot twist into everyone's inner monologue. Accept the comedy. If someone tries to ensnare you in their emotional escape room, you can politely refuse the invitation. I see your cryptic Slack message, Karen, and raise you an emoji of deep ambiguity. But what if I misinterpret the agenda? You might wonder as you lie in the dark, mind racing. No worries. Even the greatest Stoic philosophers probably occasionally mistranslated a raised eyebrow. Maybe Seneca read too much into Nero's choice of toga fabric and thought, aha, purple again. He's plotting something. The point is, you're not here to Sherlock everyone's intentions. You're here to see them, smile at the plot, and move forward with serenity. Embracing your hyper-awareness isn't about building UN-level diplomatic dossiers on your colleagues, friends, or that mysterious neighbor who always brings in your mail upside down. It's about realizing you're the lead character in your own story, not the director of everyone else's subplot. Take a breath. Let their hidden agendas float by like oddly shaped clouds, objects of brief amusement, not existential threats. So, when everything reveals its hidden agenda, you don't have to play the game. You just observe, appreciate the spectacle, throw in a silent applause for human creativity, and withdraw to your Stoic fortress of calm. Oat milk and ambiguous emojis at the ready. Joy, rage, longing, sorrow, all feelings sharpen. Where others drown, you surf the waves. But here's the paradox. The more you feel, the less you're enslaved. You can let anger pass through you without burning, love without needing to possess. Detachment reveals itself as the purest form of presence. Imagine you're in a thunderstorm. Most people duck for cover, clutching their emotional umbrellas and cursing the rain. But you feel the droplets on your skin, the electric charge in the air, and you marvel at the spectacle. You don't try to push the storm away. You don't curse at the wind. Instead, you let every raindrop roll over you, each one a distinct sensation, acknowledged, never resisted, never owned. That's the Stoic superpower, standing in the storm of your own emotions with dry socks and a half smile. Now, this doesn't mean you're a robot who just nods politely at funerals or calmly sips chamomile tea as someone steals your lunch from the office fridge. Oh no, you feel the sting, the unfairness, the nostalgia, the rush. The secret is that you don't have to stick motivational post-its on your forehead to force yourself into positive vibes only mode. Emotions, in their full, messy technicolor, are allowed to happen, but you don't let them decorate your living room. In practice, emotional distance doesn't mean you're cold or heartless. It's more like you become the world's best emotional landlord. You host emotions as interesting but temporary tenants. Anger. You can stay for a cup of tea, but rent's due by sunset. Ah, love. You beautiful disaster. Please don't rearrange the furniture while you're here. You're a gracious host, not a jailer. And here's where the comedy of being human shines brightest. You might find yourself feeling intense jealousy over someone else's sandwich assembly skills, or pride when you parallel park on the first try. These moments still happen, but instead of getting whisked away by them, you observe, you chuckle, and you give them a gentle pat on the head as you send them on their merry way. It's all very civil, with less drama than an office birthday card. Yet, why does all this matter for sleep? Because racing thoughts and restless worries are, at their core, intense emotions that insist on being the stars of a late-night brain talent show. If you treat them like house guests rather than invaders, you stop negotiating with them at 2 a.m. You just wave hello, acknowledge their odd talents, and let them fade stage left, freeing your mind to wander down gentler paths. When you truly get this, even anxiety, yes, the emotional hooligan that keeps popping up at inappropriate times, loses its power to hijack your night. You watch its antics, raise an eyebrow, and go back to fluffing your figurative pillow. Emotional distance isn't numbness, it's clarity, wrapped in a soft blanket of self-compassion and a pinch of dry humor. You are allowed, no, encouraged, to experience life in high definition, colors dialed up, sounds crisp. But you're also encouraged to pause occasionally to notice, I am feeling this, not I am this. There's a chasm between I feel sad and I am nothing but sadness. And that gap, once discovered, is roomy enough to stretch out and relax. So, next time you're lying there, mind busy with a spectacular symphony of emotions, imagine yourself as both the audience and the orchestra. The music plays, you enjoy the crescendos and the silences, but you know when to stand, applaud, and head home. Emotional intensity is a gift. Emotional distance is the wrapping. Together, they let you open the present of each moment without clinging, clutching, or crumpling the paper in a fit of existential frenzy. Breathe in the waves, surf through them, let the tide rise and fall. In your inner theatre, you hold both the front row seat and the exit pass. That's freedom, and it's surprisingly cozy at bedtime. Scrolling, binging, pleasing, these comforts lose flavour. You try to indulge out of habit and feel nothing. The mind craves mastery, not anesthesia. What you used to call fun now feels like slow poison. You don't resist change. Change just stops needing your permission. You find yourself hovering over the app that once controlled you, thumb poised like a gladiator in the Colosseum. Will it be life or blissful silence? You close it, not out of fierce willpower, but because the urge flickers out, like trying to light a soggy match. That infinite scroll has become a finite yawn. Your brain mutters, can we get something with subtitles? Perhaps a documentary on ancient drainage systems. Anything but this. Even comfort foods, those lumpy mashed potatoes of the soul, lose their mystique. The late-night pizza arrives, steam curling up with memories of old dopamine. But where you'd once devour slice after slice, now you look at it like you're attending a pizza's open casket viewing. It's not you. It's me, you think, inspecting a crust with forensic detachment. Habits rot quietly. No grand explosion, just mundane decay. Like fruit gone soft at the back of the fridge. A whiff here, a wince there, until you realize you haven't touched it in weeks. The phone lights up with another notification. Your former self would have pounced, heart rate spiking, dopamine squirted like perfume behind each earlobe. Now you gaze at the screen and imagine the freedom of not responding. It's not discipline, it's disinterest, not stoic resolve, but boredom evolved. You're an old raccoon with a gourmet trash can, once thrilling, now just garbage. You look for meaning in other places, even if you have no idea what they are. Your mind reaches for novelty, but of a sturdier sort. Instead of the familiar, cheap thrill, you want a challenge that outlives the 5-second half-life of a meme. The brain begins to hunger for something it used to ignore. Quiet competence. It starts finding glory in folding laundry with crisp corners, turning off notifications, or walking down the street without headphones and feeling only the gentle whir of your own thoughts. Even the people-pleasing habit, well-worn and reliable, grows mouldy edges. You notice how you say yes before your heart has had a chance to vote, and those yeses land inside you like junk mail. The thrill of approval, now a trickle, is replaced by a slow, warm surge of relief when you just don't. You marvel as boundaries start drawing themselves, as naturally as your cat ignoring you when you call, but sitting next to you when it matters. It isn't that you renounce pleasure or comfort. You simply outgrow your old impulses, like a snake sliding free from its too tight skin. You don't have to hate your habits, just notice them on the windowsill, getting dustier by the day, until finally you flick them away. The vine withers, and for once, you don't try to revive it. There's a strange peace in letting things wilt. This is not a heroic battle. You're not scaling mountains or winning medals. You're quietly rediscovering your appetite for life. Old habits attempt their encore, but the crowd inside your mind has thinned. They bow to empty seats. You don't resist them. Their power just dissolves. It's a little anticlimactic, like a balloon slowly deflating behind the sofa, or a once trendy catchphrase fading into silence. And as the weeds of old behaviours shrivel, you notice sunlight pooling through the cracks, enough to coax new habits to grow. The air feels less sticky here. You're not flawless. You still slip, occasionally tumbling back into the velvet couch of laziness or the donut's warm embrace. But you get back up, dust off the powdered sugar, and keep moving forward. That's enough. That's everything. You become allergic to self-deception, the stories you spun to survive. I'm fine. I don't care. That's just how life is. Become unbearable. The urge to be radically honest, at least with yourself, overtakes the urge to appear calm or agreeable. Peace replaces performance. At first, this honesty feels like a leaky faucet at 3 a.m., unignorable and vaguely threatening. It's the creeping realization that your biggest enemy isn't your neighbour's yapping dog or your boss's love of Monday morning Zoom calls, but that chorus of half-truths echoing in your mind. Maybe you've told yourself for years that you thrive under pressure, when in reality you're a caffeinated tornado, frantically updating spreadsheets while plotting your escape to a quiet monastery in the hills. Or you say, it doesn't bother me, each time your boundaries are trampled like a doormat at a muddy festival, when in reality you're one more passive-aggressive email away from composing a breakup song for the office printer. But self-deception isn't just pretending. It's a cozy, Instagram-filtered blanket we drag around, shielding us from awkward truths. When you drop it, the first moments are chilly. Suddenly, you see your stress for what it is, not ambition, but chronic avoidance. You recognize that your compromises aren't sacrifices for others, but rather deals made at your own expense. You begin to notice the little fibs, laughing too hard at jokes that don't land, pretending not to mind when your plans get cancelled, again, or reassuring yourself that your eating habits are experimental, when midnight snack raids resemble a raccoon on a rampage, This new honesty doesn't mean you announce all your flaws at family gatherings or turn every commute into a confessional podcast. No, the real shift is inward. You become a detective in your own mind, shining a lamp behind every dusty curtain, unearthing the intricate ways you tiptoe around discomfort. A stoic voice pipes up in your head, suspiciously resembling Marcus Aurelius, but with your accent. Is this really true? Suddenly, your brain is haunted by Marcus, Epictetus, and Seneca, all following you around like a philosophical Scooby-Doo gang, unmasking your ego's cheap disguises. At times this inner dialogue gets awkward. You'll catch yourself rehearsing the old scripts. I'm perfectly content eating this flavorless salad because I'm making healthy choices. Wait, Marcus coughs. Are you truly content or secretly pining for the bygone era when croutons weren't an illicit substance? You ignore your own boredom, frustration, or fatigue for so long that it feels revolutionary just to sigh and admit, actually, I'm not okay with this. Not even a little bit. Ironically, this radical honesty is weirdly freeing. When you stop pretending to be fine, the performance drops. Alone in your thoughts, you swap your invisible script for a candid monologue. Walls come down. It's not about shouting your feelings from rooftops or turning every minor inconvenience into a spoken word poetry slam. It's refusing to rent out mental real estate to the stories that hurt more than they help. You drop the weight of pretending to be calm, agreeable, or unfazed, and stand, just you, unfiltered and slightly bewildered, on the threshold of real peace. You learn to laugh at your old schemes, the half-hearted New Year's resolutions. This time, I'll become a morning person. The spreadsheets of imaginary budgets, the dinners where you pretend to adore kale. You learn that your greatest freedom isn't found in having it all together, but in finally letting yourself admit, actually, things are a glorious mess, and so am I. In that mess, you find a strange, quiet liberation. You are no longer at war with yourself. And as you lay your head down, each night, a little lighter, you realize you no longer need those white lies to survive. Your honesty is now your pillow. Supportive, occasionally lumpy, but always your own. You experience time in paradox. Hours race past like minutes, but each moment aches with importance. You sense viscerally that procrastination is now a form of self-betrayal. But you don't panic. You move deliberate and slow, as if every act is both practice and performance. At first, time felt infinite, like an endless buffet of seconds that would never run out. You, noble stoic time traveler, imagined yourself lounging by the river of eternity, sipping metaphorical lemonade and strumming the lute of indifference. But very quickly, as your notifications pile up and your to-do list mutates into a hydra, yes, cut off one head, 3 more emails grow, you realize time is attacking from both sides. It stretches to the horizon to tempt you with the promise of later, while simultaneously standing behind you with a stopwatch and a megaphone, yelling, "Next!" There's an uncanny awareness in your chest, like a ticking metronome installed by Marcus Aurelius himself. You could spend hours reflecting on the nature of virtue, or just as easily lose an entire afternoon in the philosophical abyss called TikTok. Every choice suddenly stands under the harshly fluorescent light of significance, contemplating whether reheating leftover pizza is an act of wisdom or folly. This is the strange dichotomy. Time is both so vast that you're tempted to squander it, and so urgent that you want to set each minute in a tiny velvet box for safekeeping. In stoic fashion, you try to step back. You notice that when you mindfully wash a plate, time slows down enough for you to notice the rhythm of your breath and the tragic fate of the soggy spaghetti sliding into the drain. But when the dread of an impending deadline creeps in, your sense of time telescopes into a single, sharp moment. Now, now, now. That's when you begin negotiating with yourself. If I just finish this one task, I'll achieve eternal tranquility. Or at least I can take a nap. The ancients said, tempus fugit. Time flies. Sometimes, though, it seems like time is not so much flying as performing a series of elaborate gymnastics routines right in front of you. One moment, it's a graceful swan dive. The next, it's tangled up in the curtain cords, swinging around like a caffeinated cat. You laugh, you sigh, and you try to remind yourself that the Stoics didn't have Wi-Fi, so their main distraction was staring dramatically into middle distance. You become hyper-aware that every postponement is not just a delay in action, but a small philosophical crisis. Seneca leans over your shoulder in spirit, thankfully not literally, whispering, "How much more of life will you waste waiting to begin?" No pressure, Seneca. Meanwhile, Epictetus quietly suggests, you control your actions, not the passage of time. Also, maybe close those 43 browser tabs. But not every tick of the clock is fraught. There are, surprisingly, moments of wild peace embedded in this strangeness. You learn to savor ordinary seconds, a sip of coffee, that weird, squeaky sound your chair makes, the pleasure of a perfectly sharp pencil. Here, amidst the rush, you find tranquility slipping in sideways, as if it knows it's not supposed to be here, but wants to see what all the fuss is about. You realize, eventually, that urgency does not have to mean anxiety. Sometimes, it just means you treat your actions as worthy of attention. Infinite time can be overwhelming, but urgency helps you curate your hours, choosing what matters and what is best left in the drafts folder of existence. Each moment might be fleeting, but that just means you can let the trivial things pass with a nod, while you invest your care in what counts. So, you pace yourself, like the philosopher-athlete you are, juggling urgency without panic and infinity without apathy. You walk through the day with the poise of someone who knows. Every instant is both impossibly precious and utterly replaceable. And if you mess up, that's fine. The clock is a circle. There's always another revolution waiting for you, quietly beckoning, infinitely patient, forever on time. There is no lightning bolt, no grand gesture. Awakening creeps. One day you just stop arguing with reality. The storm outside no longer invites you to react. It teaches you to anchor. You witness, quietly, as your old identity cracks and falls away, revealing the calm steel beneath. The world keeps spinning. You finally stand still. At first, you expect a trumpet blast. Maybe at least a harp, or a dramatic cue from the universe. Something clear that signals, you have leveled up. But instead, an odd silence stretches around your mind, like the world just put you on mute. You realize nobody noticed your invisibility cloak. They're too busy not noticing their own. Congratulations, you're reborn, and it looks suspiciously like doing the dishes. The soft rebirth is not about new incense or a fresh set of lifestyle hashtags. It's peeling the stickers off your life, the ones that say, be productive, and must hustle, or you're doomed, and finding underneath just you. Messy, amazed, quietly relentless. Maybe you find yourself in the supermarket, standing in front of the avocados, feeling deeply at peace for no logical reason at all. The little voice that used to scream, "What's wrong with you?" now shrugs and says, ripeness is overrated. Life's a little brown spotty sometimes. It's ruthless, this process. Soft does not mean painless. It means you don't flinch when an old thought comes knocking. Are you sure you're enough? The thought whines. You hand it a tiny cup of tea, pat it gently, and show it the door. There's a tender violence in growing beyond the need to reply to every critic, internal or otherwise. Those battles now feel like being invited to a slap fight with a cloud. You learn graciously to RSVP no. This rebirth is not a hero's journey with triumphant background music, more like the world's quietest hardware update. One day you reboot, and suddenly your emotional Wi-Fi connects to peace, not panic. You no longer measure your progress by external reactions or Instagram enlightenment. You start tracking subtler metrics. Anxiety per minute. Number of soul size. Days since last existential allergic reaction to other people's nonsense. You begin to realize your softness is built on a spine of steel. The old version of you chased certainty, like a dog after passing cars. Now, you lean into ambiguity. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate, but you might just call it not panicking at grocery store checkouts anymore. You became light, not because life got easier, but because you stopped dragging your resistance everywhere like a sack of emotional potatoes. People around you may not understand the change. Some might accuse you of being too calm, as if you've suddenly been replaced by an undercover monk. That's because true softness is intimidating to brittle things. You become a little unsettling, undramatic, unhurried, unreadable. You're the eye of your own hurricane, sipping tea, occasionally finding lint in your belly button, and realizing this is probably enlightenment, but with more laundry. So, warrior, these aren't just side effects. They're mile markers on an invisible road, evidence that your awakening is both demolition and creation. Spiritual intensity doesn't mean chaos. It's the friction required to become fire. If you feel out of place, let it be. If you feel detached, embrace it. All the pain, all the paradoxes, are proof. You are in the rare process of becoming sovereign, silent, and remarkably ungovernable. You chose presence over noise. You traded reaction for discipline. Tonight, as the world outside hums with restlessness, know this. You owe no one an explanation for your peace. Breathe deeply. Stand quietly. You are not behind. You are awake. Your calm is your power, and there is no turning back. Walk free. So, warrior, these aren't just side effects. They're mile markers on an invisible road. Evidence that your awakening is both demolition and creation. Spiritual intensity doesn't mean chaos. It's the friction required to become fire. If you feel out of place, let it be. If you feel detached, embrace it. All the pain, all the paradoxes, are proof. You are in the rare process of becoming sovereign, silent, and remarkably ungovernable. You chose presence over noise. You traded reaction for discipline. Tonight, as the world outside hums with restlessness, know this. You owe no one an explanation for your peace. Breathe deeply. Stand quietly. You are not behind. You are awake. Your calm is your power, and there is no turning back. Walk free.